Well, if you've been following my vlogs lately, you know we've been working our way through James 1, and we're going to continue to do that, but I want to just pause for a minute and spend a couple of our times together talking about prayer. I want to invite you on Saturday, September 21st at 6 o'clock to join us for our next worship night. This worship night is going to be a little bit different because we're going to be focusing on prayer. So we're going to be singing a lot of songs together. The band is going to play a lot for us, but we're also going to have some targeted times of prayer during this evening together. So I wanted to just read you a couple of verses today from Colossians chapter 4, verse 2. Paul says, "Continue steadfastly in prayer, being watchful with it in thanksgiving. At the same time, pray also for us that God may open to us a door for the word to declare the mystery of Christ, on account of which I am in prison, that I may make it clear which is how I ought to speak." So Paul just starts out by giving a very general principle about prayer. Just continue praying. We need to always be praying. It was over in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 where he writes the very familiar verse, "Pray without ceasing." We need to be continually in an attitude and a mindset of prayer, which demonstrates our reliance on Christ every moment of every day for every Christ follower, understanding that we need him. But then he goes on to be a little bit more specific, and this is what I want to focus on for a minute today, because this is what we're going to talk about some on that Saturday evening when we do our worship night and prayer time together. And that is that we need to be praying specifically for the moving of God in the hearts of people and for the salvation of the lost who are around us, whether they're right here in our community or somewhere else here in our country or in other parts of the world. He says, I want you to pray that God would open a door for the word. I can't stress enough how important it is for us as believers to be constantly praying that God would give us opportunities to share the truth of the gospel. Now, we always, every day, we rub shoulders with people who know God, but it's not always the right time to share the gospel, depending on the situation, where we are, what we're doing, just what's happening around us. But Paul says that we can be praying that God would give us those opportunities. Have you ever thought, well, I don't know, I feel like I never have a chance to share the gospel with someone? Do you pray about it? Do you ask God to give you opportunities? I believe with all my heart that when we pray specifically that God would give us opportunities to share the gospel, that he will do that he will open that door. And then Paul says that we would know how to make it clear. The gospel is, on the one hand, very simple, and yet so completely counterintuitive to us as humans that it's hard for people to understand often. It's hard for us to be able to help people to see just how great God's love is and just how much he desires for them to be a part of his family. And so as we're praying, folks, these are my challenges to you today. Can we be praying, first of all, together as a body, as Christ followers, as the church in this world, that God would give us opportunities to share the gospel, that he would open the door, and then that he would help us to make it clear, to make the gospel clear to people. Will you join me in praying those things today? And don't forget, on September 21st, Saturday night at 6 o'clock, we'd love to have you here with us for our worship time and prayer together.